So in today's War Thunder video, we're going to be doing it a little bit differently, where I'm going to be doing multiple topics within this video, because to be quite honest with you, War Thunder has been in a very odd position for the last, I would say, 2 or 3 weeks, just because we've seen what the dev server has, brought whenever it comes to the new major update. But the dev server itself just seems to be prolonging itself, and then the update is pretty much nowhere in sight. And this week, it's almost going to be Friday whenever this video releases, and we still don't have a major update, and it seems like the update will probably be next week whenever it comes to everything. So yeah, a big question has been asked upon me is like, when is the next major update coming? I believe a lot of people are kind of excited to see what is introduced with the new Fox 3 missiles. They're ready to see the new premiums, or they're ready to see just what happens to ground forces. But overall, we've had a very long dev server, but it kind of just seems like the update just isn't ever going to come for some reason, at least the way that I feel about it. But yeah, we're going to talk about that. We've already basically talked about the first topic, which is the next major update. So now let's get on to the next topic, which is, why is Gaijin focusing more on the top tiers of War Thunder? Or why does it feel like the World War II to like lower battle ratings feel very neglected whenever it comes to just content within these major updates? And I understand it's kind of like a fair sentiment. It seems like a lot of people will feel like there's not a ton of World War II vehicles. I kind of see it like as a two problem issue, is that you do have a bunch of World War II stuff, or you have a bunch of lower tier stuff, but it's just in some sort of form like battle passes, or it's in a form of events, or that you just have like random SPAs that they keep adding over and over. And it is kind of very sad that that's where the area of the game is very much in its state. But the thing that I really want to talk about is like, is Gaijin kind of smart for just not focusing on the World War II stuff? Like for example, I'd love the P-43 to come to the game, or I'd love vehicles like the T-69 for the American tech tree, like have an actual oscillating tank within the tech tree. But the thing about it is that I realize that I'm 100% a minority player. Like, I'm one player that loves to play like rank 3, 4, and 5. But I know a ton of people that are not like that. A lot of people like to go into top tiers. They like to play missiles. They like to play top tier jets, or they like to play top tier tanks and play with CAS and play with all kind of stuff. And it's very cool for them, right? So I'm one of those players that sees that I would love the game to be something different. But at the end of the day, I see that it's one of the only ways that this game probably would have survived for as long as it did, is Gaijin chasing the shinies. And it's one of those things I also want to talk about, because it kind of goes into another topic of this video, is why is War Thunder successful? And the real reason I believe it's very successful is because it can go from one day of you having an F-14 Tomcat, and then the next day you're having Fox 3 missiles. So it is one of those games that's completely changing. Every week that you play this game, there's pretty much something new always happening. You have some sort of event going, you have a new premium which just came out, you have a new update which is being leaked, or which is being in a dev server state. You have a ton of different things that this game has. And if we compare it to other games, there's only really one other game, or a couple other games if we count like World of Tanks and World of Warships, that are on the same level of content wise that War Thunder even is. And I feel like at the end of the day, whenever War Thunder goes into its state of where there's just no more shiny vehicles to add, or there's no more new mechanics or new things to add to the game, that is whenever we want to start seeing a reduction in just player counts, because people want to see a new thing. There are a ton of people, and for someone like me that's been playing this game for a very, very long time, every single time there's an update to the game, if you play day one, you will see people who G these vehicles and just get them day one, max them out, completely spade them, and then you'll go like see their stats within a month or so, and they maybe got like 40 kills and that's it. There are people that play like that. There are people who just come back to the game, buy whatever the new meta machine is, or buy whatever the shiny of the month is, play it for like 40 kills and not even touch it again. So it's one of those things that is heavily hit on the head whenever it comes to this game, is that the shinies and the updates and everything of this game is what's making it very successful. If you look at other games which are kind of the same vehicular combat sphere, like, I'm not saying that they're a one-to-one copy of War Thunder, but it's like, use the example of Gunner Heat PC, or use the example of DCS World. While both of those games do have high fidelity stuff whenever it comes to their tanks or whenever it comes to their aircraft, the thing that they don't have is that they don't have constant update. And there's one thing that I kind of learned, at least from playing Enlisted, and it's the one word that came up a bunch, which was immersion. Immersion is one of those things that I think is really cool, because you can get immersed into a world, you can get immersed into a game. But the thing about immersion, and it's something that I've noticed happening to me at least a lot, and also to other people that I've talked to, is that once immersion is gone, and once you start to get in a kind of like state of where you understand what is happening, or you understand this isn't the thing for me, immersion just completely fades away. Like, it's very cool to hear your gunner in Gunner Heat PC or your commanders start yelling and all that sort of stuff, but once you experience that like 1 or 2 or 5 times, you kind of get over it. And immersion for what it is good for also is a very bad thing, because once you get unimmersed into something, you kind of get uninterested in it. And that's one thing that I feel like, or at least me, it comes to a lot of games. DCS World, for example, it's very cool to start up your F-18, fly it around, do all kinds of stuff with it, learn all the modules and stuff. But once you get into the like realization of, wow, this is annoying having to start this up every time, or this is not cool that I'm having to get into this tank and just get shot because I'm in like a very bad tank compared to like an Abrams or something in a gunner APC. It's one of those things that War Thunder does very well. You're able to just log in, you hit go to battle, and you're playing the game as fast as humanly possible as the game can get put into. And then to put a cherry on top of that is that then you look at the major updates, you look at the new stuff that is coming into the game. And that is one thing that I feel like War Thunder just does incredibly good, is that they're able to make people keep playing the game, whether it is a pretty bad thing as well because people just don't have time to do other things when it comes to gaming, but it still is a very positive thing whenever you just look at it as a game-to-game thing. And to top it off, I'm not really like a huge component of just War Thunder being a top tier thing. In my opinion, it's not the area of the game that I enjoy to play. I like to play the mid tiers to like mid to like a little bit in the top tierish range, but at the end of the day, I just kind of realized that the game kind of evolved past me. It's one of those things that I realized probably like in 2020, whenever there's just a ton of new top tier vehicles coming out into the game, is that this game, for once, is a game that I still enjoy playing, or a game that I really enjoy playing, but a lot of the things that I don't enjoy, someone else will. And I feel like that's a fair sentiment throughout this whole experience in War Thunder, is that maybe there's parts of the game that you don't like. Maybe it's naval, maybe it's helicopters, maybe it's aircraft, maybe it's even cast or something like that, but there's always someone who is going to be the complete opposite of you, and maybe it might be worth trying to experience what their experience is like as well. Maybe just trying out different areas of the game to seeing what you do enjoy and what you don't enjoy, because you never really know. So, and then finally we're to the last topic of the video, which is a very decisive one, so that's why I'm putting it here, so we don't have the 30-second Andes, which watch the video for like 30 seconds and comment something very outlandish and very stupid. So this is one of those things that I like to put at the end of the video, and it's the separation of World War II and Cold War battle ratings within War Thunder. It's been a very decisive topic within the last couple of like weeks, I would say, within War Thunder, because we've seen videos from like Fly Daily, which pretty much went over this topic of should there actually be a separation within the World War II battle ratings and also the Cold War / like modern day era of War Thunder. The thing about those types of videos, and the reason I say this is because there were some very outlandish things within that video, like boss tanks, for example, which just kind of made no sense to me whenever it comes to this. And if Fly Daily is a player who's played for a very long time, I don't really know how this made any sense to him as well. But at the same time, it's YouTube. A lot of people see YouTubers as people who are very informative to this sort of stuff. But remember, your favorite YouTuber is probably trying to also gain the algorithm, or they're trying to actually, do sort of stuff like get more views and all sorts of things. So it's one of those things that you very much need to be cognizant of. I'm not saying Fly did it. I'm just saying it's a thing, and you should always double take and also triple take things you hear on the internet whenever it comes to the end of the day of things. But the thing about it is that people want to talk about the separation of Cold War and World War II. Now, if we look at it on paper, it kind of makes sense. There's a lot of vehicles, like, for example, let's just take the VDAR right now. What does the VDAR do really good? It's really good at having thermals, it's really good at laser rangefinder, it's really good at the medium to long ranges of War Thunder because it's able to have very good characteristics. But once you take that vehicle and you put it onto a small map, or you put it onto even like medium range maps at this point, if you put it onto a map to where it just does not perform well, the vehicle sucks. It's one of those vehicles that is very much a very situational vehicle, and we see that a lot within War Thunder, of these vehicles which are put down in battle rating, or they're at the World War II battle ratings of War Thunder, of just where they have a fundamental flaw. And the fundamental flaw of the VDAR is that it just isn't good on smaller maps. And then we also have the same thing. Let's just use the M56 Scorpion, for example. The M56 Scorpion, while it has a heat FS, it can go pretty much through all of the heavy tanks within its battle rating range. The fundamental flaw of that vehicle is it has no armor. It can be MG'd to death, and then it can also just be attacked from the sky. There's nothing really you can do to protect that vehicle other than trying to hide in some bushes or something. Now, at the end of the day, I feel like a lot of people, instead of viewing War Thunder, like, I do understand there's people who see this game as they want it to be an immersive simulator, which I don't ever think it will ever be, because it's just way too hard to actually balance that sort of thing. But the thing that I feel like a lot of people have whenever it comes to this is that they're very cognizant of annoying. And a lot of these vehicles are pretty annoying. You're playing a Tiger 2, you get whacked by a Heat FS from an M56, that's annoying. You're playing you're playing against a VDAR, you get shot across the map, that's pretty annoying, ain't it? And it's a trend that you see a lot with these vehicles. Like, let's just use for example the M109. The M109's at a battle rating of 6.0 or 6.3. I've got nukes for those things, they're pretty good at the end of the day. The only thing about them is that they're very inconsistent, but they're very annoying, because guess what? If you have armor, let's just say you're in a heavy tank, all they have to do is really shoot for your turret face or shoot for areas where they can overpressure you, and your tank is dead. They don't really ever have to really aim for anything other than just shooting towards the areas of the tank. Now, at the end of the day, the thing about the M109s is that they're very annoying to actually play with, because sometimes your HEs don't work, sometimes you just get MG to death with like 50 cals, and then also there's quite a few AAs that are going around the map now whenever it comes to that battle rating bracket they completely just destroy you. So it's one of those things. I don't feel like War Thunder, like the people who are like, oh, we need like historical era-based matchmaking, are just kind of stupid. Because if you view it from like major nations, yeah, I understand like maybe you could possibly do it, but what are you going to do about Sweden? Or what are you going to do about Israel that have just a ton of Magaks that are pretty much in the same areas? Like right now, if we look at the Magaks, some of them were coming out when the Leopard 2A4 and the Leopard 2A5 were being made, or the Abrams, the M1A2. So there's a ton of discrepancy of where those vehicles should go for minor nations. If you look at Sweden had this very cool thing of where they didn't participate in World War II. So what they did is that they started designing a bunch of just wacky prototypes, and most of those vehicles were kind of designed to go against like T-54s or T-55s whenever they had like the performance of maybe a World War II 1943 vehicle. Now, another thing that I've noticed whenever it comes to like the whole World War II versus like Cold War thing is that a bunch of people point out that like a bunch of the like SPAs that they put into the game have been, dare I say it, just modern stuff that is not equivalent to the SAM systems that we have now. Like for example, there's like this one that I see now is pretty funny, and I looked it up to just get the validity of this thing, and that was that the Yestervark shot down a MiG-23. So yeah, apparently the Yestervark did shoot down a MiG-23, which is a South African vehicle for the UK tech tree, and I still believe, just going by like cognizant memory, I might just be off a little bit, I believe it's like a 5.7 vehicle now, or it might be 5.3. So a vehicle that is at 5.3, 5.7 shooting down MiG-23s. Cool, I guess, but at the end of the day, there's people that are like, oh yes, because it shot down a MiG-23, it would be fine at putting this thing at like 10.30. It's like, what? You're insane, right? Just because you want an era-based matchmaker, you want to put this dinky little 20mm at like 10.30. Like, come on. Like it just makes no sense. Like, it just, like, people don't realize this is a game. This is a video game. Like, come on. So to end off this video, I don't ever think Gaijin is ever going to be like, oh yes, let's do historical matchmaking, because it just doesn't make any sense to do it. And I feel like there's a lot of people that are going to be like, dog, I want to see era-based matchmaking. It is my lifetime goal to have a historically accurate game in a video game for some reason. But the cool thing about War Thunder, and it's one of those things that I really applaud Gaijin for, because there's not a lot of companies that do this, is that let's just say that you want to have a historical event. You can go find communities to do it. You can go find people who are setting them up. You can also make your own. You can download the War Thunder CDK and make whatever your heart dreams to of what you want to see within the game, whether it be just some random like mech or something that you want to make, or you can make a D-Day invasion. You can have whatever you really want to in this game. And then let's just say that you can't make it in War Thunder. Let's say that you want more infantry focused stuff. You can go to the Enlisted's mission editor and do the exact same thing and pretty much make whatever you really want to. I know a lot of people are going to be like, but dog, I don't have enough time to do that. I don't care to learn all that sort of stuff. There's people that's already made it. Go and War Thunder life. Find some cool PvE action that you want to see. It's one of those very cool things, but there's one thing that you got to realize, is that the core of War Thunder is a game. It's not historical, just like open up a book, go to this page, look at this sort of thing. It's never going to be that. No matter how much of this like era-based stuff you want to put in the game, it's never going to realistically put in what real life combat is like, and it should never be like that. It should always be just fun, jump onto a video game and have a bunch of fun. So yeah, honestly guys, it's been a really cool thing to talk about this sort of video, just kind of just off the cuff, just make the sort of thing. Really do enjoy this. It's one of those things I kind of want to try for a little bit, just because once again, there's not really much happening. We've had a week-long dev server that basically put in like 2 or 3 vehicles, and that was basically it. So yeah, definitely want to try this out, maybe more in the future, but hope everyone has a wonderful day, and see you guys in the next War Thunder video.